I'm Muriel, and I love true crime.
My name's Nick, and I'm not a fan.
Thank you for joining us. This week, we're bringing you part 2 of our teen Catfish story. I was going to ask Nick to do a little recap, but he told me don't ask me to do that. So I'll just do that in the body of the
I can't
episode.
recap this. It's just like, well, basically the short story is like this poor girl and the guy too, but to a lesser extent, are getting bullied. No one knows who it is.
Yeah.
So it's like either the parents or it's the boy himself or it's the sheriff or, you know.
Well, and we left it off with that
I don't
girl,
remember.
Chloe,
yeah.
getting interviewed, and it's kind of looking like she's getting framed. By
Yes,
someone,
right.
Right? You remember?
Yes.
We really did record this yesterday, so nuts to you.
Okay.
Our main sources this week are the same as they were last week. Sky Borgman's new documentary, Unknown Number, the high school catfish, on Netflix right now. Very fun. And the January 2025 article for The Cut by Lauren Smiley, who was cyberbullying Kendra Licari's teen daughter. This is an awesome article. So I don't know if you're into it. I didn't cover all of it, but it's a great article. I would read it. And then also the 2020. Oh, that's it. That's
it, dude. Drop the mic. Goodbye. End of episode. Welcome to Muriel's Murders. Goodbye.
Okay, not yet.
Okay.
This is a true story involving murder, violence, drugs, adult themes, etc. So if any listeners are like Nick and they don't want to hear about those things, please consider listening to a different podcast.
We joke, we curse, and, that's just how it is. So if you hate those things, also don't listen to us.
All right, Nikki, are you ready to hear this story?
No.
Okay, let's get started. Got to squirrel up my script.
Okay, we're starting, baby.
Okay. So we left off last episode with something fishy going on with the catfish. So
You're so corny. You're the worst.
That was for you.
Thanks.
That's my biggest zinger.
Really, that was your knockout punch. You really opened with your closer here?
Yeah, opened with my closer. 1, 2, and we're out. The main suspect in the police investigation into the anonymous texter terrorizing high school freshmen Owen McKinney and Lauren Licari was becoming increasingly unlikely. What did I just write? I'm so sorry. Oh, yeah. It was becoming increasingly unlikely. This suspect was becoming less and less a suspect. This accused, this fellow freshman, Chloe Wilson's phone had been forensically examined and deemed clean. They found someone had created fake Snapchat accounts using Chloe's identity and used it to bully Lauren online. And finally, the anonymous texter was going as far as to send photos of Chloe and Owen posing together looking cute. So it's sort of looking like this anonymous texter was really trying to clunkily frame Chloe Wilson for the text. And then there was another extremely strange text in the midst of all of this. So up until the recent breakup, Owen used a phone case that Lauren had made for him. She liked to use photos to make these little presents. I do this all the time. I like the website Shutterfly. And she had made a phone.
Hear that, Shutterfly? Sponsor us.
Okay, I give them money. They do not give me money.
Will 100 of you please email Shutterfly and tell them to sponsor Muriel's Murders? Please. 100 of you. If you're listening,
way more
do
than
it.
that.
No, I'm just saying if 100 do it like right away, that'd be cool.
All right. You're too thirsty.
500 of you.
Stop. Okay. So she liked to make these little presents, and she had a phone case made for Owen of the two of them hugging each other. So after Chloe Wilson was more or less cleared of this crime, Sheriff Mike Main started combing through these printed out texts looking for hidden clues, something that he may have missed, and he came across a slightly older text, one from around Christmas time. And it was a candid picture of Owen sitting on the couch at his parents' house during the McKinney family Christmas. No one was posing or even really in the frame. You couldn't see Owen's face, just kind of the side of his body. the focus of the photo was on the couch beside Owen because tossed among the torn wrapping paper and packaging was Owen's phone with a new plain black phone case. So this anonymous texter who'd been bullying these kids sent this candid phone from Family Christmas to the two kids with the caption, "Bruh, low," and that's Lauren's nickname, "Bruh, low, we diggin' his new black phone case for real."
Okay, so it's either his mom or his sister or someone who's able to hack their phones to get the pictures out of the phone, which people can do.
So Sheriff Maine, he
or
goes...
Dad. Could be the dad.
And he asks Owen's mom, Jill, who could possibly have been at their family Christmas and also was in Owen's class at Beale City High.
Yeah.
And the only person that matched that description was Owen's cousin, Adriana.
Right.
So she was a super quiet kid, big hazel eyes, round face, braces, a part of the less popular self-described outsiders at Beale High. And she and Chloe Wilson, they had a history. So in middle school, Adriana was on the volleyball team with Chloe and her clique, Macy and Sophie. And there was a big drama. According to who you believe, either Chloe and the girls bullied Adriana, or Adriana was jealous of Chloe and lied about being bullied to make Chloe look bad. But Chloe and her parents were trying to figure out who in their class would want to frame Chloe, right? At this point, right?
Okay, so that's...
And when Adriana's name came up, Chloe thought, Adriana was a likely suspect. In fact, Chloe's mom, Tammy, the one who does the Halloween Spectacular, she told Sheriff Maine straight up, quote, "My finger is pointing towards Adriana. That's who I think it is."
Right, and maybe she was the one that called that anonymous hotline or whatever
to report her for bullying. Yeah. So Tammy Wilson, Chloe's mom, she told police that in the previous volleyball season in 8th grade, they had to deal with Adriana and her mom's drama. Tammy said they started this whole thing in volleyball, and Tammy herself was called into the principal's office along with Chloe to address concerns of Chloe bullying. And Tammy, she told the sheriff the whole thing was made up. And she and a couple of other parents involved in volleyball watched the games and then proved that Adriana was lying about the bullying. So according to Chloe, Adriana was part of a less popular group of girls who went to the school and they all grew up playing sports together. And Chloe admitted she can be a little competitive in sports. So probably because of that, somehow the less popular girls got the impression that she didn't like them. Sophie, Macy, and Chloe said when they were all in middle school, Adriana made up a rumor that they were bullying her and threw carrots at her. So they were actually the victims in this whole situation. And no one besides Adriana disliked them so much that they would accuse them of bullying. And she was actually kind of reverse bullying them.
Sure.
According to Adriana, there were times in middle school the girls bullied her so much she just didn't want to go to school at all. Adriana said she didn't really tell her parents about it, but her mom noticed that she was struggling, and eventually her mom, because all of these parents are kind of in on this stuff,
of course,
her mom makes a Facebook post about it, and she didn't call out Chloe Wilson by name. It was just kind of a post about how her kid is being bullied and the community should do better. But Adriana said after that, everything got a lot worse. Chloe and her parents were up in arms about the Facebook post, and Adriana was even more ostracized. So it came down to Chloe and her parents said Adriana targeted their daughter and lied about bullying because Chloe was really good at sports and was now trying to frame her for sending texts to Lauren. And Adriana said she thought Chloe and her parents were mad that she called Chloe out for being a bully. So now we're trying to frame her for framing Chloe.
Got it.
Okay.
Yes, that all makes sense. At what point do we get to start judging some of these parents? Is that going to happen? Are they?
You can do anything you want. You're the voice of the people.
Of the people. Well, I know, but I try not to. I try to appeal to our better angels. I when they go low, I go high.
Well,
you know
I'm not making any choices for you, so you have to make the choice.
Okay.
On
Well,
your
I'm
own.
not going to yet, but I just am like, there has to be a middle ground between like, okay, our kids have these phones and they're doing God knows what on them, and they're getting these horrible messages on them. Like full speed ahead, everyone just do exactly what you're doing with your phones with no, adjustments whatsoever. To like, okay, now you don't have a phone. Like there's some gray zone that I feel like could have just solved so many of these problems so much quicker. I don't know. Okay.
So Adriana's name comes up. She's attached to the photograph. So the cops pulled Adriana in for questioning, and Adriana was adamant she didn't take the picture, didn't send the picture, didn't have anything against Lauren Licari. She's like, I would never send her these kind of texts. She said the interrogation was really scary and like kind of changed her opinion about law enforcement. But also,
did they bully her too?
She just said she was really scared.
I'm not trying to be mean to that child.
I know, you should not be. But also, she was like in the midst of this thing where she's getting kind of like grilled at school. It was really hurtful because she was like, I barely talked to anyone at school. I tried to be a nice person. And it hurt that people could so easily think she was capable of doing something like this to her own cousin.
Yeah.
And even Owen himself said in the Netflix doc that he didn't think it was out of the question that his cousin could be involved. He said, quote, there was just another group of girls that my cousin Adriana was in who didn't have much drama. And I thought it could have been the quieter ones because they could have been more techie.
He's like, or however you girls handle your drama, however you guys
There's so
do
much drama.
He's just chilling. He's just playing, Fortnite. He's just kicking it. You know what I mean?
You boys are so drama free. It's amazing. Yeah. So
just listening to Post Malone.
We're not getting into more drama.
Watching
Do you want me to tell more of your secrets from high school? Because I could. Drama llama. All right. So then after Adriana was questioned by police at school, she had to go back to class and everybody stared at her. And it was like everyone in her class completely believed she was guilty of this complicated, cruel, bullying triangle involving her cousin and all of the most popular kids at school. It was kind of unbelievable for her. But then a couple of days after her police interview, Adriana got a message from an unknown number. And it read, hey, Adriana, Owen needs your help. We need get Low gone away from him. Tell his parents Low a bitch. Effed up his life. You hate her too.
Okay, so someone is paying someone in a different country to do this. That's what I think is happening.
So she just like takes her phone and she throws it across the room in tears, right? So by the spring of 2022, police were no closer to solving what was emerging as a drastic cyberstalking case. Police were still dragging teens out of class for interrogations. The phone policies at school became this all-out battle. Owen and Lauren's moms begged the school to implement a blanket no phones policy, and then other parents demanded their kids kept their phones on them in school in case of emergencies, like the very real and increasing cases of school shootings across the country.
Yeah.
The school refused to put a blanket policy in place, and instead different teachers had different policies, which resulted in kids just constantly sneaking peeks of their phones and texting regardless of the policy.
Have there been more death threats? Are those staying?
They're just mixed in.
Okay.
So yes. Like some of them are death threats and some of them are like life would be better if you jumped off a bridge.
Yeah.
All horrible.
Yeah.
But some less direct.
Sure. That wasn't like a one-time thing, though.
No, it's like incorporated into like get low gone.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of stuff. Like insinuations. So school officials asked Lauren and Owen's parents to change their kids' numbers. But the kids, they texted so much. And the moms felt it would only be a matter of time until their new numbers were leaked again to whoever was targeting them. Like all the kids texted each other all the time in group chats. And they couldn't just take the phones away because they were in travel league sports. They needed to text to stay in touch. And also, pandemic and robots and new things, right? Kids get their homework through the school's Google Classroom app, So like while he's on the bus, he can look and see what his homework is on his phone, right?
Oh, that's what he's doing.
Well, I think our lives are different because we didn't grow up with phones because we're older. But I think that's what kids do. I mean, I used to be on the bus and be like, what do I have to do today? And then you dig through your backpack and it's full of garbage. And then you find like this place where you jam the syllabus and it's in a ball and it's like got like syrup on it. You're like, oh man, this paper's due tomorrow. They're just doing,
okay.
It's better, man. Streamlined.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so and on the phones, Jill McKinney said, quote, they don't even know how to function without it for an hour. So we're not taking them away.
Okay.
So, and not only was Lauren Licari dealing with being terrorized and gossiped about in school, like a lot of families coming out of the COVID pandemic, her parents were having terrible financial problems during this whole cyber stalking thing. They had moved house 4 times. Kendra and Sean Licari were fighting all the time. Sean blamed Kendra for not getting a handle on Lauren's problems. Their daughter didn't even want to go to school anymore. She'd cry on the bus on the way to softball games. And then meanwhile, Owen had started dating a girl he met at a game in nearby Pinconning, Michigan. And all was going well until the anonymous texter started sending threats to his new girlfriend's mom's phone saying like, back off of Owen because he was their man. So they broke up and Owen was like, I have no idea what to do. Right? Like everyone that he has contact
These poor
with
children
is starting to get attacked. All his best friends, his girlfriend, and now his new girlfriend, right? Owen started getting aggressive during basketball games. This happy-go-lucky kid was morphing into an angrier person who sometimes blamed his mother for failing to protect him, hinted that he felt suicidal. No one was sleeping. Everyone was glued to their phones, texting like, did you see this text? Did you see that text? Checking on each other, right? Jill would break down crying while talking to the sheriff. And finally, she said if he couldn't get a handle on this case, she was going to take the whole thing to the press. And Sheriff Mike Main decided to call it. And he decided to reach out to the FBI for help from the cyber crimes unit. Mm-hmm. So in all this chaos, the one thing that everyone could agree on is that everyone liked dreamy Officer Brad Peter. Officer Brad Peter came in and was like a magician, handsome guy, right? He hailed from the Bay City, Michigan police force, but he was deputized by the FBI to work on digital crimes for the Mid-Michigan Computer Crimes Task Force. So Brad Peter joined the investigation in April 2022. Peter knew the apps used to generate burner numbers only kept the data for about 2 weeks. So he needed fresh texts to track their cyberstalker. So Jill McKinney ended up being his primary contact, sending the phone numbers behind the texts as soon as Owen received them. So Jill sent him 4 fresh texts that had been sent to him over the Easter holidays. And then Brad Peter did some computer magic to track the numbers. Something IP addresses. Uh-huh. So I'm going to try to explain it. I actually did like Google some stuff to try to figure this out, but it's kind of largely irrelevant. So
yeah, it's like, well, it's also, I mean, he does work for the FBI.
I know. And and I just really don't know anything about this stuff.
Yeah.
But So I'm going to just say, like, if I say something really, really dumb, don't come at me. I don't care. You get the point,
Yeah,
right?
leave
Okay,
her alone,
so
people.
I'll try to explain it. I think it'll help, right? Anyway. This is peer-to-peer true crime.
Okay.
All right. So this guy, Brad Peter, was able to track one of the phone numbers to an app called Pinger and found it had connected to a server for Beale City schools. Like the phone numbers will connect when they want to use Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Right? So due to the pandemic restrictions and complications of the pandemic, the school had actually boosted its Wi-Fi range to cover the parking lot so kids could use it to study if needed, right? Kids could sit in their cars and study in the parking lot if they had bad internet at their house. So the texter, Brad Peter believed, had to have something to do with the Beale City schools. Someone was involved in the school, but that's as far as he could get with the information that he had. But Verizon came through with the big break in the case. One of the anonymous texter's numbers connected to IP addresses from Ann Arbor and Detroit, Michigan. So Brad Peter looked into those IP addresses and found that actually hundreds of phone numbers had connected with those IP addresses around the time the Easter texts were sent, like a disturbing amount of phone numbers. So it looks kind of suspicious. So he asked Jill to send her every phone number that she and Owen had, every phone number police had related to the case, anyone that was involved in the case. And he took that list and he combed through the numbers to see if there were any matches between the numbers and matching the IP address and the numbers matching the people involved in the case.
Yeah.
And there was just one familiar phone number connected to those two IP addresses when the Easter texts were sent out. And that phone number belonged to Kendra Licari.
Called it.
It was Lauren's mom the whole time.
Called it. Fucking called it.
You called like 5 things. You can't just say all the people.
Called it. I called it. I knew it was a mom. I said the mom. I think that was the first thing I said. Someone who
You
listened.
did say the mom, but that was the first thing you said, which was great because you're very smart.
Thank you.
Okay. But
I didn't know if it was going to be, to be fair, I didn't know which mom.
And
but
I think
was
you thought it was Owen's mom.
Not
but-
necessarily. We've done cases where, you just told us a story about a case where the mom bought her son a gun knowing damn well he was having psychotic issues and then ran away and left him high and dry. People do horrible things to their kids all the time.
Well, part of the reason why I wanted to tell the Ethan Crumbly story is because of now, as we go through what happened, you can see there's even more strong parallels between the two moms in that story.
Oh, that's sad. Okay, here we go.
So, you can tell obviously. Just because,
right. But more strong parallels.
Sorry.
Well, we're going to figure it out.
Draw your own conclusion.
So she decides.
I found there to be
life.
parallels, and then there some of them are superficial, but I just found it to be they echoed each other to me.
Yeah.
So by August 2022, police had gathered enough evidence to get a search warrant to seize all of Kendra's electronic devices. So by then, the financial issues the family had forced them to move into Sean's mom's small, cluttered ranch house. Sheriff Mike Main and a detective pulled up into the driveway as Kendra was taking out the garbage. And she continued walking around the side of the house with the garbage and hung out there for a beat before walking out to talk to the sheriff. Now, Sean Licari was at work and Lauren was in her room alone, so they asked her to tell Lauren to stay in her room for the moment while they had a private chat. Kendra did as she was asked, and she came back to the living room looking very confused. So Sheriff Main then handed Kendra the search warrant and announced she was now an official suspect in the cyberbullying case involving her daughter. And at first, Kendra, she was shocked. She denied everything, but it flipped pretty quickly when they explained, girl, your number shows up connected to the same IP address as the cyberbully's number every time a text was sent. So the text didn't come from your number, but you were always in the place where the texts were being sent from. Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that's how they did it. Okay.
That's my understanding. I
Sure.
think that's correct.
Yeah.
And, you know, so the sheriff went to work trying to get a confession. He just was like, let's just get this over with, basically. And the confession, it came out fast and weird. And it started with the question, you know, well, did you do it because you were attracted or infatuated with Owen? And instead of saying, you know, it wasn't me, I don't know what you're talking about, Kendra just said, no, it was nothing like that. So still fairly shell-shocked, Kendra said, well, I didn't start it. So according to Kendra, she didn't send the initial Halloween party texts, the ones that were telling Laura and she wasn't invited to the party, right? That was someone else. And that she felt a group of kids was trying to get between Owen and Lauren. So at first, she was sending the text to see if she could shake things up and get some names out there, right? Like maybe she could get to the bottom of who was sending these texts. But then she just kept going and she said she fed off of it. And when asked why she kept it going for so long, Kendra just basically said stress and financial issues. So at this point, we still don't know very much. She hands her devices over to police, including 2 cell phones. And now this whole thing is captured on police body cam footage. And it's just so weird. Like, for some reason, she thought the police would just keep it a secret. Like, she didn't want Lauren or anyone else in Beale City to find out. She's like, oh, don't tell Lauren. And police were like, well, sorry, but that's definitely not how this works. And they called Lauren out of her room. And Sheriff Maine just ripped the Band-Aid off and told Lauren about her mom, who just sat there stunned, didn't react or anything as Kendra sort of grabbed her and hugged her head into her chest. And then they called Sean Licari at the auto body shop and told him to come home. Outside in the front yard, before he could even talk to his wife, they broke the news to Sean, who, you know, he didn't seem to grasp the gravity of this situation. He was like, do you really need to do this? Like, do you need to be here and act like this? Until, you know, they explained, listen, Kendra's being charged with felony stalking. It's not a small thing.
Yeah.
And Sean asked police, okay, great. Now, like, processing this information, he goes, well, did she give you her third phone? The one she's always hiding. And so then Kendra's busted yet again. Police found the third phone stashed in a wood pile on the side of the house where Kendra had scurried over to as the police had driven up on the property. And then Kendra was busted a third time because police asked her husband, Sean, if he was aware that Kendra had been fired from her cushy university job and had been unemployed for at least a year. And Sean Licari had absolutely no idea because Kendra had been pretending to go to work this entire time. So Kendra Licari presented as this highly capable, busy, type A, devoted mom.
Yeah.
She'd always earned more money than Sean, first as a supervisor at a bank, and then at Central Michigan University, where she worked in human resources. And she was in charge of the family finances. She managed everyone's schedules. A few months before Lauren and Owen started dating in the fall of 2019, Kendra got a job. She switched jobs, and she got a job as a cell phone specialist in the IT department at Ferris State University, which Kendra said came with a big, fat pay increase. So in the fall of 2019, Kendra moved the family to a place Sean called his dream house, a 4-bedroom refurbished log cabin inspired home out like way out in the forest. Now, Sean, he was a roll with it guy. You know, he did oil changes at the local auto body shop. You know, he happily took Lauren hunting and went to her games. He loved being a dad. And before the text started up, he felt they were like having the best years. They were just really great years. He was completely oblivious to whatever Kendra was up to. So when Kendra said she had changed jobs in the spring of 2019 for a better job opportunity. She'd actually been fired from her Central Michigan University job for poor performance. And that job at Ferris State in IT, that did not come with any big fat new salary. Though through the latter half of 2019, because of this, they were drowning in debt, but only Kendra knew about it. And eventually, the house that they owned went into foreclosure. And for the record, just to say, Kendra's cousin, Melissa Perry, who was once one of Kendra's best friends, doesn't think Kendra ever worked at Ferris State and made that job up entirely. Anyway, Kendra somehow was able to hide the foreclosure from Sean, told everyone that she sold the house to upgrade to this log cabin spot. So their credit was totally shot. Nobody knew this, but it was true because of the foreclosure. So she entered into sort of a rent-to-own deal with the owner of the cabin, and that lasted until 2021. In the spring of 2021, I think according to Kendra, Ferris State put Kendra on notice. She was being cited for a poor performance, basically for spending an excessive amount of time on her phone, texting her daughter terrible things.
Jesus Christ, man.
Her excuse for her poor performance was she was overwhelmed and stressed out with the pandemic and Lauren's sports schedule. And a couple months later, in August 2021, she quit the job entirely and started pretending to work from home by faking work calls whenever Sean was at the house and wearing sweatshirts and gear from Ferris State University. Meanwhile, Kendra was spending all of her time split between cyber stalking her daughter, Owen, and their friends, terrorizing them with disgusting texts, and playing the concerned mother, comforting her daughter Lauren, reaching out constantly to support Jill McKinney and Owen, and complaining to the community about how hard the cyberbullying was on their family.
So what? She just wants to create all this problem so that she has something to do and feel special about battling? Like what's the psychology?
So by now, we'll get into that actually a little later. From the article from The Cut, they talk about it. It's really interesting. So by now, the family was out of money in a really big way, right? Kendra was holding on to the log cabin house by making up excuses, telling the owner they were having problems with PayPal, and then a crazy mix-up with a cashier's check. And eventually the owner started the eviction process against the Lacaris. And Kendra somehow was able to hide that too. To cover for the eviction, Kendra told Sean and Lauren that the foundation of the log cabin house had cracked and it needed repairing, so they had to move out while it was being fixed. So after the eviction, Kendra moved most of their belongings and their precious things like keepsakes and family memorabilia into storage units, promising Sean, listen, everything's fine, this is all temporary, and they had more than enough money to pay this extra bill. Kendra then proceeded to ignore the bill entirely, and the Lacaris lost pretty much everything they felt was worth saving. It wasn't long after that that Kendra was busted in the driveway of Sean's mom's house and charged with felony stalking. So I guess this is Kendra's story, although I'm not sure it'll be that satisfying or illuminating. All right, so like we said earlier, the first text started around Halloween 2019. Kendra said she didn't send those texts and they had really upset her. And she said she was stuck as how to deal with the situation as a parent. She thought, well, I need to shut down, Lauren's cell phone. But then she thought, well, why should Lauren be the one to have to shut down her phone? She didn't do anything wrong. So Kendra decided, instead of changing her daughter's number, she was going to try to get to the bottom of who originally sent the text herself by sending awful texts to Lauren and Owen in a group message. And her logic was maybe the kids would send something back, like information they weren't willingly sharing with their parents. And if Kendra kept the terrible texts going, maybe the kids would start talking to their friends about it, and even more information would come out that would help Kendra figure out who sent the original messages. And then Kendra just spiraled out and kept going, crashed out, couldn't stop the texting. She felt like she was someone different, introverted, self-absorbed. And she said the texting was an escape. It took her out of real life and she wasn't herself. Now, Kendra later said, as Lauren started growing up and hitting puberty, Kendra was hit with a bunch of unaddressed, unrecognized old trauma. So Kendra claims she was sexually assaulted when she was 17 and never processed it or really told anybody. So when her daughter started getting older, she said she was overcome with irrational fear and a need to protect her, keep her close, keep her from growing up, and keep control over her life. So she did that by texting her daughter that she was worthless and talking about the different ways that she was having sex with her 13-year-old boyfriend, Owen. Texting Lauren to jump off a bridge. She said she wasn't worried about Lauren killing herself because she knew her daughter really well, so she figured it was fine. Now, I know this is a lot to process.
I mean, the layers of bullshit is just unbelievable. This poor girl.
I know.
This poor girl. Is she okay now? Are we going to talk about that?
Yes.
I mean, how do you even get back to that? What?
So I know this is a lot to process, but I do want to add this last little bit. The law enforcement actually didn't find any evidence to indicate there was ever a quote unquote original second texter. Everything indicates that Kendra was the only one sending the messages.
Well, I mean, also it doesn't matter at all. It literally doesn't matter if she started it or not. That's so beyond the point.
No, I mean, you're right. I'm just saying I wanted to add that. I know.
Yeah, I mean, she did it. It'd just be if a normal kid, we don't have a kid, but so I don't know, but I'll judge parents anyways because, freedom of speech.
Yeah.
But, if my kid got bullied one time and got a weird text, I'd be like, okay, hopefully that will never happen again. And then just never, obviously I wouldn't do that, but it's also just she's like, I'm going to try to crack the case of who did this that makes no sense.
No, but that's just what she said. And she's literally sending 100,000 texts. So surprisingly.
Is it literally 100,000?
I was 50, it could be up to 50 a day for around 2 years. So.
Well,
I don't know. I can't do that.
Someone leave it in the comments. Put it in an Apple review. 5 stars. This is how many. If you're listening and you love the show, do that.
Yeah, but it was also not constantly. It was mostly 2021.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's a little.
It's
more.
It's even one would have been too much.
50 a day is a lot.
No, that's the sickness is real, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now, surprisingly, I'll leave you with this. And then we're not done, but I'll leave you with this with Kendra's hot takes.
Yeah.
So surprisingly, Kendra Licari did participate in the Netflix documentary pretty robustly. And the final words she wanted to leave the audience with were trippy enough to me that I just transcribed them so I could read them to you.
Okay.
So she said, every single one of us makes mistakes. Not a single one of us has lived a perfect life. And realistically, a lot of us have probably broke the law at one point or another and not got caught. I'll be honest, I'm sure people drove drunk and haven't been caught, right? But again, if you get caught, you're in the same situation I'm in, but for a different thing. So I do feel that, people lose sight of that. I know to some, I'm a headline, I'm a villain, I'm a bad mom, I'm a whatever. But that's because they know one little piece of my story. They don't know my whole story.
Is the other part of your story, I didn't beat my kid physically, so therefore you should give me a gold medal?
And this chick is saying this after what she says, she did months and months of counseling. This is after she's been in prison, after she's on probation. That's her hot take she wants to leave the audience with. She's like, I did all this counseling. All right, lady.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is judging you for. I don't think it's really about wow, she really broke the law with that one. I think it's that you broke some basic form of just regular human decency. The mother thing is insane, but also just if you did that to anyone, you would be an insane. You're just doing something that's you're what, come on, man. Don't do that to people. And God forbid, don't do it to a child. And really, definitely don't do it to your own child.
I mean, I think that's probably the takeaway of this story for sure.
Yeah. You know us getting deep here at Muriel's Murders. Really cracking the code. So coming up with the hard conclusions that everyone else is scared to say. Don't cyberbully your children.
All right.
Controversy.
So after her confession to police, Kendra was... Oh.
What's happening?
Well, something's happening.
What? What does it say?
Reconnecting. All right, if you're listening,
last
you don't
time
have to worry about this.
It ended up being okay.
So, after her confession to police, Kendra was outed to the world. The thing she didn't want to have happen. So at the beginning of the 2022 school year, everyone knew Lauren's mom was the texting monster. And
shit.
What?
You have to start over.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready now.
Okay. So, anyway, back to the initial confession. All right. So after Kendra's confession to police, she was outed to the world and everyone in Beale City, her most dreaded thing. At the beginning of 2022 school year, everyone knew Lauren's mom was the texting monster. And for Owen and Chloe, there was a lot of anger and relief, lots of shock in the community. Lauren kept going to classes until December 2022 when she and everyone around her in her class found out that Kendra Licari had been arrested through headlines blasted over the internet and onto their phones. So after that, Lauren cleaned out her locker and finished sophomore year online.
Poor girl, man.
Yeah.
And she's in the documentary talking about all of this?
Yeah, and actually in 2 stages of her life, which is really interesting because it's kind of like there's a before and after her mom went to prison. And I think we'll talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, I want to hear all about her, but we can wait till the end or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so in retrospect, now we're going to talk about a lot of people in Beale City actually did suspect Kendra was up to something.
I did.
Like the guys at the auto body shop where Sean worked.
Yeah.
They said Sean would come into work, talk about his life, like they all did. But some of what he said made guys give him the side eye. Like, oh, it's crazy right now. Guys, Kendra told me we missed house payments because this dude from New Mexico stole our identity. and we got hacked. So, our payment for the spring break condo rental bounced. And man, you won't believe it. My truck got repossessed. And Kendra found out it was a guy in Saginaw, Michigan, who scammed the car company, right?
Yeah.
So
well, and he already knows she has 3 phones and one of them she hides all the time.
Yeah, but he's a roll with a guy. I don't know, man. So anyway, at this point, they were living in his mom's house. His truck had been repossessed. When police called Sean home from work, when they served Kendra that initial warrant, he had to drive a loaner car from the garage because he didn't have a car. Also, just to add to that, the McKennies, Owen's family, were pretty shocked at how little Sean knew about the cyberbullying. Like when they had their big all-hands meeting with the sheriff around early 2022, late 2021, Sean was basically acting like this was his first time hearing about it, even though it had been going on for like a year already. So the parents were like, oh, how is Kendra not keeping you updated on this? Now, Jill McKenney, Owen's mom, she ignored red flags too. Like Kendra, she said, seemed to be obsessed with Lauren and Owen's relationship, talking like they'd never break up and be together forever. And then after the breakup, Kendra would grill Jill about whether Owen was dating other girls, to the point that Jill actually had to firmly tell her to cut it out. Also, Lauren never acted like she had a job. Like Lauren's classmates would see Kendra just parked in the Beale City School's parking lot, sitting in her car during school. She'd be at the school all the time. If not for events and sports, she'd be there talking to the principal or bringing Lauren a change of clothes because the bully made fun of what she was wearing over text.
Oh my God.
Mostly, all she talked about to other adults was the cyberbullying, but she never wanted any solution. So Kendra would come up to the school to talk to Lauren's coaches about how she was worried the bullying would affect Lauren's focus. And then the coaches would tell her, take Lauren's phone, change your number. But Kendra didn't seem to absorb anything. And the next game of practice, she'd just kind of come back and repeat the same complaints and problems. Principal Boyer even had a nagging feeling about Kendra. So in that early 2022 period, right after the dragnet sting that the principal tried to do, he was still combing through surveillance footage for clues as to who the texter was. And he'd always catch Kendra sitting up in the bleachers during games and practices, hunched over, texting from 2 different phones.
Yeah.
Also, during one of the basketball games in freshman year, it came out later that a friend of Lauren saw Kendra pick up Lauren's phone and text Owen, "I love you." And for the record, before they accused Owen's cousin Adriana of being the texter, Chloe Wilson's parents straight up told Sheriff Mike Main that they thought that the texter was Kendra. So Kendra was pretty publicly mad that Chloe Wilson made varsity basketball and Lauren didn't, and was kind of gossiping to people that the kids who made varsity only made varsity because their parents are friends with the coaches, kind of making a big deal about it. Plus, there were some small things that I didn't really get, I guess Tammy caught Kendra hiding a piece of exercise equipment and just to cause trouble, and then showed them where it was once they were going to review the footage of a camera.
Okay.
They were just kind of she's weird, right?
Yeah.
So in February 2022, Chloe's dad texted the sheriff, quote, "Honestly, Mike, I don't know if you know Kendra or not, but you really need to be cautious. There is a pretty good part of me that thinks that she may very well be doing this."
Yeah.
And that was, about 8 months before. That was probably actually 2 months before the FBI got involved.
Does Lauren say why she didn't just change her phone?
I think these kids, I think their parents were it seems to me like their parents were making a lot of decisions on their part. And they were very busy.
Yeah, they're young. I get it.
And they're young, yeah. Little kid. Kendra ended up pleading guilty to two counts of stalking a minor, one for Owen and one for Lauren. Although arguably, she was stalking Chloe too. In a TikTok post that I found, Chloe said that Kendra kept tabs on wherever her family was vacationing or traveling and used the number generator to send texts from that specific area code. So she was stalking the Wilsons too, to some extent.
Does stalking imply death threats too? I mean, she's also saying it feels like more than stalking.
Maybe it's a plea deal. She just didn't they just didn't charge her with all the things. And I also think there's an argument for charging her for stalking Adriana and the mom of Owen's out of town girlfriend. I mean, she did track them down and get their texts and, text them or get their numbers. So anyway, she was sentenced in April 2023, and pretty much the whole town showed up. She read a statement apologizing to Owen and Chloe and their families, apologizing to her daughter, and talking about how she'd been through counseling and been diagnosed with some mental health issues with depression and anxiety, and had suppressed childhood trauma that included sexual abuse. And she said in her hearing her sentencing hearing, she was unaware that she was in crisis for, quote, many years. So Kendra was sentenced to just 19 months in prison. So in 2023, Lauren came back to Beale City for her junior year. And now with the dust settled and Kendra in prison, there was just lingering confusion. First there was this question of how much Lauren knew about what her mom was doing. She was constantly texting with her mom. It's like they were inseparable during most of the time the texts were being sent. I mean, in some ways, Kendra was Lauren's only friend there at the end. So, that was looming over Lauren's head, which sucks, right? And then Owen stopped talking to Lauren altogether. It's like, I just don't talk to her, ignored her in the hallway.
Yeah.
Chloe and her parents also think Lauren knew more than she let on. And one of Lauren's close friends from a different grade later told The Cut that Lauren had suspicions about her mom, but only in the last month before Kendra's confession. So that would be like July, And it was coming up when her parents were like fighting and they'd lost their house and all this turmoil was happening. But I mean, poor kid, like either way, obviously Kendra's a head case. So I'm sure she just did a number on Lauren. It kind of doesn't matter in some ways to me, like how much Lauren knew at any point. Like if she kind of suspected her mom, but her mom is the only person who cares about her and is being nice to her. I just can imagine that's so difficult.
Yeah.
And then there was a larger question of why. It just seems like no one was satisfied with Kendra's explanation in court. Chloe Wilson certainly wasn't. Kendra's motive still made absolutely no sense to her. And Owen was the same. Was Kendra trying to break up his relationship with Lauren? Or did she think it would make them like fall more in love? He just said it was, quote, "It's just super confusing." Jill McKinney thinks Kendra became obsessed with her son Owen and that she was attracted to him. And Owen did say Kendra was super weird about him. Like she used to cut his food for him when he had dinner at their house, and she'd randomly text him just solo and would show up to every sporting event he had even after he and Lauren broke up, which he always felt was kind of like gave him an icky feeling. When Beale City principal Boyer found out it was Kendra all along, he said to him it sounded kind of like a case of cyber Munchausen. So Munchausen, now called factitious disorder, is when someone either like makes up symptoms or hurts themselves in order to cause symptoms so they can receive medical treatment and then get all the care and attention and sympathy that follow. So it's not typically for like monetary gain. It's literally for like attention. Often it becomes compulsive, uncontrollable, addictive behavior.
Yeah, it's like a known disorder.
Right. So fictitious disorder by proxy is like that thing in the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case that we talked about. Yeah. It's often a form of child abuse where the parent causes their child to be sick or claims the child is sick to get unnecessary medical treatment. And then all the attention and sympathy that comes from being the caretaker of a sick child.
Right.
And actually, according to Lauren Smiley's reporting for The Cut, cyber factitious disorder or cyber Munchausen's or Munchausen's by internet has been on the radars of psychiatrists since the 90s. It's basically the phenomenon of people pretending to be sick online, not necessarily for material benefit, but just simply for attention and getting, sucked into this invented identity of being this sick person.
We know some people that have done that.
I know, like literally.
Yeah.
So leading experts think.
Well, that's different though. I mean, that's one thing, like posting a Facebook post about like what chemotherapy did to you today when you didn't go to chemotherapy. That's like one thing. And then this is something else though. This is like, I'm using the internet to ruin someone else's life in actuality.
Well, that's what I was saying. One is
people in IRL will then be nice to me because I'm caretaking my poor, sad daughter.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's the difference between like classic Munchausen's and Munchausen's by proxy, right?
Sure.
One is doing it to yourself and one is doing it to another person to get the same type of psychological benefit.
It's even like one step further though, I would just say, because like with the Gypsy Rose Blanchard thing, it's like she's convincing her daughter that she's sick and that, it's like, oh, you're sick. And I guess that obviously that is harmful. Yeah, I guess maybe it's the same. It's like there's like literal physical harm.
Well, we'll get it. So I guess I'll just finish this thought
Okay,
then.
okay.
That which I like what you're saying. It's good. You're saying the right.
Maybe it's good.
I mean,
Thanks.
it's what I was. You're addressing what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
I'm a psychiatrist. So leading experts think the cyber version of Munchausen's is going to eclipse the other IRL versions of disorder, partially just because it's so much easier to pull off from behind a computer screen. And I think that addresses what you're saying. It's like it does feel different because you're causing this physical harm. But in a lot of ways, mechanically, you can get the same satisfaction, and it's a lot easier to do it behind a computer screen, right? So in 2017, this guy, Dr. Mark Feldman, who's a longtime specialist in Munchausen, joined a study with some colleagues to survey undergrad students, I believe, at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And I'm just going to quote Lauren Smiley here. They found in their casual survey about 2% of the responding college students admitted to bullying themselves under an alias. So that's like online.
Yeah.
And another 2% reported faking an identity to bully a friend online and then, as themselves, heroically coming to the friend's defense.
Yeah. That's a pretty high percent.
Kind of a high percent when you think about it. Because that's like pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, I guess it.
And that's just people who admit it. And that's just like this small cross section of people.
Yeah.
I could say I personally, I mean, we've been encountering things like that since like MySpace, right? Where you're kind of like finding out, like, I remember discovering people I knew who were like pretending to be different people and interacting with themselves on the platform, and it never even crossed my mind. I'm not like a big social media person in general. It gives me anxiety, but it never even crossed my mind, even as like a young adult, that you would actually do that. But people do it all the time. It's like, pretty crazy, man.
Pretty crazy, man.
So that study was actually never published, but at the time when they were writing about it, researchers predicted the likelihood of a future rise in parents bullying their own kids online so they could rush in and play the hero. Like they were like, that was one of the speculative things that they believed, is that we were going to start to see a big increase in that. So in the end, Sean Licari divorced Kendra and received full custody of Lauren. And despite a no contact order, Kendra communicated with Lauren all throughout her time in prison with loads of love bombing emails. And that's kind of the interesting thing about, the documentary, is that they talk to Lauren sort of as her mom is in prison, and, how devoted she is to her mother and how much she loves her mother. And she still loves her mother. Like, she talks about how much she loves her mom. But like in those little still developing, you're still in the egg years while her mom's in prison, it's just like, I love you. You're my heart. You're everything to me, constantly. And she was still able to get to her. So Kendra was released from prison in August 2024, and she moved back to Detroit. And after some time, it seemed like Lauren was able to separate herself from her mom. And by the time the Netflix documentary aired this year, Lauren and Kendra were no contact as per her probation requirements. So she had started to make some distance. In 2024, at Tammy Wilson's annual Haunted Trail Halloween party, Tammy Wilson, dressed as a scarecrow, dressed as a prison inmate, holding 2 phones, and wearing Kendra's mugshot as her mask.
Okay.
Tammy. She even talked to the Cut about possibly doing like a town screening at her house of the Netflix documentary with like the 300 people that live in Beale City, and then decided against it. Probably a good idea. Chloe, Owen, and Lauren all graduated this spring of 2025. So this chick is tough, man, because like she's still going to this high school while Tammy is throwing her party dressed as her mom.
I know.
With a mugshot on. She's still trucking, man. All 3 of the kids went on to college. Chloe made her school's volleyball team. Owen made his school's baseball team. And Lauren made plans to study criminology.
Man, she seem okay in the documentary? She okay?
I hope so. I think anybody watching the doc was pretty upset when they were like, oh, her mom is still emailing her.
Yeah.
Like, part of me wants to be like, Sean, lock down your kids' like socials, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's just an email. You know, just look and make sure Kendra's not emailing her. She shouldn't be doing that, you know. But I think like the impression that I got, it's just the documentary, so it's like I couldn't really find a lot more, which is good because I think some of the kids are posting TikToks and stuff, but Lauren's not really doing that as much.
Yeah, they're still kids. I mean, they're
like 18 now. Right now, it's 2025 is when the doc came out, and they graduated. They graduated, so they're all in college now.
Yeah,
so they're like 18.
They're still so young.
No, I think it was upsetting to think. I think that basically the space that they got from while Kendra was in prison let Sean. The impression is it let Sean, her dad, and her bond a little more and come up with their own relationship. And it was like, in the beginning, I think when Kendra went to prison, it seemed like it was really, really, really hard. Like, for Lauren, like she just was like, I don't care. I just want my mom in my life. I miss her. And then later, after she got a little more space and got to have a relationship with her other parent and got some like a break from like the constant sort of like attention that her mom gave her, I think she was able to kind of say, I'd like to have a relationship with her, but not with any of the complications we've had in the past.
Yeah.
And, you know, hopefully we can get to a healthy place and start talking again, which, you know, that's a bright spot. But, yeah, man,
damn, all the love to that girl, man.
I know. I feel like she's so tough.
Yeah.
Like, to come up and just like,
no, that's rough. That's a rough hand to get dealt.
I mean, I feel like I am not that strong. I think if that happened to me and then everybody was like, all my friends were giving me the silent treatment that my old friends, and I couldn't play the sports anymore, and it was this tiny school, I would just get my GED and like move to New York. I mean, I think I would, I don't know if I would be strong enough to like stake my claim and graduate from my high school and move on with it. I think that's a pretty brave thing because I don't know.
Super brave.
I don't know if I would be able to do that.
Okay, I have a dumb thing that's maybe nitpicky, but I'm just curious. So this is called like the high school catfish. Mm-hmm. So is it a catfish? I feel like it's not actually catfishing. Isn't catfishing specifically pretending to be like more attractive than you are in real life, or someone completely different to like hook up with someone or fall in love with them?
I think. Oh man. There's somebody beeping outside, but you know, this is real life, man.
I mean, I'm not saying it matters. I'm just actually curious.
I don't know. I think a catfish is just pretending that you're someone you're not.
Okay.
Online, or like I think that it's old too. I think you could have done that like through letters or something like that. It's like Cyrano de Bergerac or whatever the fuck his name is.
No, what is that? What did you just say? Servo de Gerviac?
Cyrano de Bergerac?
What are you saying? I have no idea. The guy with the
long nose. It's the one that like Steve Martin did. Like the guy with the long nose who like thought he was too ugly to like love on this girl, so he had a handsome guy, but he would like write what to say.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Cyrano de Bergerac.
I guess that part. I don't know about the thing. I don't know what that word is coming out of your mouth, but I know what you're talking about.
Why are you such an asshole?
Man, I like never got catfished because you locked me down way before like smartphones hit the scene. But I used to bartend at this place. You know this story, but I'm just
Cyrano de Bergerac.
Did you win that argument?
I don't know.
What was that?
This is saying he's a French novelist, so I thought it was a play. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways,
Roxanne.
Yeah. That's a Steve Martin movie.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I think Peter Dinklage made one of those recently too, in the last whatever
with
years.
his wife.
His
IRL wife. Okay, what are you saying? I
okay.
locked you down. I didn't.
I never got catfished. I'm still wild and free.
No, you're just drawn to me like a magnet. I never had to lock anything. I was like, whoa.
You are looking really pretty. No, I was bartending at this place, and there was a young woman that would come in. She was always by herself. She was really shy, and not shy, just kind of quiet and kept to herself. And she would come in like sometimes on like Friday night at like from 8 to 9:30 or whatever. Like she seemed very single.
Yeah.
And she would come in, and I really liked her energy. She was really cool.
I remember this. Okay.
And on my last day of bartending there, I said, I'm leaving. Like, this is my last shift. You know, it's been cool to know you. Like, she was cool. She came in a lot.
Yeah.
You know, she's like a regular, and I got along just fine with her. And I was like, it's good to know you. And either me or her suggested, like, oh, do you want to like stay in contact or something? And I didn't have my phone on me. And actually, I didn't even have a smartphone at the time. So they existed. I was just still flip phoning it.
Yeah.
We were making statements out there, people.
Well,
and
statements of being broke.
And I said, she's like, yeah, we can be friends on Facebook. And I said, oh, cool. So she handed me her phone. So with her phone on her Facebook account, I searched me.
Yeah.
And then hit friend request.
That's how you used to do it. Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And later I'll accept your friend request.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, good. So then later, when I got back to my computer or whatever and logged onto Facebook.com, no smartphone having ass, the only friend request I had was from a woman that was obviously not her. And I went to this account and I was like, well, where's her Facebook account? And it was just like clearly a catfishing account.
Wow.
Like she had been.
I totally remember that.
She
just friended you through the wrong account.
Yeah. It's like she had the wrong account up on her phone when
Yeah, that's some crazy stuff. I mean, I think like, I feel like catfishing is kind of like people say like, oh, if you wear like a ton of makeup and you don't actually look the way you look, that's a catfish. You know, like
right. The term gets thrown around.
I think it's like more or less like, well, let's do this. This is a podcast, right?
UrbanDictionary.com. Catfishing. What is it?
I mean, how long can people listen to us guess about what it is?
We got to wrap this shit up too.
All right. Catfishing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The practice of deceiving someone online by means of a fictional or assumed persona, especially with the aim of luring them into a relationship, is the...
Okay.
So it's kind of like it is online.
Yeah.
And
I knew it was online.
But I think it's like the luring of it.
Yeah.
So whatever that is.
Okay. So that didn't answer anything.
Hold on. Use over time for catfishing. Started spiking 1940s. So I think I'm right. I think it's been around before the internet.
She thinks she's right, people.
Yeah.
The end. Thank you so much for listening to Muriel's Murders. She did all the research and writing, and I did all the other things. And we love you guys. And go unlock a bunch of exclusive episodes over on patreon.com/murielsmurders. And write us reviews on Apple and find us on social media. And
also, have a good day, man.
Yeah, definitely have a good day. Definitely do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's
that's
go get dinner.
Bye.
Bye.